The Sports Scouting Report with Libra Keen. Brought to you by Medine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge. Take control, choose Medine's. Grossavon Lodge, south of Lake Charles, the true sportsman's paradise. Treads and Care Company in Central, the tires you need, the service you want. Harvey Auto in Shreveport, Bossier City, the name you have trusted for years. And Gage in Baton Rouge. Get better connected with Gage. Here's your host, Libra Keen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Libra Keen. I'm the host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. We got a great show today. If you like powerlifting, you like weight training, you like the gym, well, you're going to like the show today because our guest, he's a powerlifting coach, strength coach at Episcopal High School. They got one of the best strength programs in the state now. They've got a state-of-the-art gym. We're going to show it off. We got all those great pictures. We're also going to talk about some of the girls and boys that he trains at Episcopal. They just finished second in the state in 2A for powerlifting. And Coach has been so close, and I know he's going to win one soon, but he's right there with one of the best in the state. We're going to also talk about the football team, the other sports programs, because one of the girls that Coach trains is a golfer. We'll talk about that. And we're going to talk about powerlifting in general at the end of the show. We'll be back with Coach Mark Harper, strength coach, powerlifting coach at Episcopal High School in Baton Rouge. We'll be right back.
Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
What does that bug man do?
Not only do we do pest control, we do odor control, bat removal, moisture control, rodents, and of course, bed bug control. Give the bug man a call. We get them before they get you.
Hi everyone, Libra Keen back with before we start our show with Coach Harper, Episcopal High School powerlifting and strength coach. I want to thank Mike Johnson and this great restaurant at the Giulio Italian Brothers on Perkins Road. They have brunch on Sunday from 10:30 to 2. It's phenomenal. I eat here twice a week, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. I know it's a lot, but I like the place. Homemade Italian food. I like chicken parmesan, homemade spaghetti. The meatballs are homemade. The meatballs are really almost about a pound. I mean, it's incredible. The homemade pizza, homemade salads. Be sure to come here during the week, 7 days a week. Again, brunch on Sunday. Not even a mile from LSU, a half a mile from Acadian on Perkins Road. And I want to go ahead and introduce our guest. If you like powerlifting, you like training in the gym, and you like talking about bench press and clean and squats, then you're going to love the show today because Mark Harper, our guest, is the powerlifting coach at Episcopal High School in Baton Rouge. They have a state-of-the-art gym, which we'll show later on. He is a graduate of LSU, also UNO, and went to high school at Brother Martin, the Crusaders in New Orleans.
Yes, sir.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's all.
A little bit?
Absolutely.
Wife Angel?
Yes, sir.
And 4 state runner-ups in powerlifting. 4.
Yes, sir. Some of those.
It's an incredible journey to be 4
Absolutely.
in the top 2. That's not easy.
No, it's not. It's very challenging. Yeah, the sport is growing year by year. If we would just look at a snapshot of 10 years ago, it was a 1-day event, and now it's a 4-day event.
Unbelievable. And let me mention this: girls, 4 state championships.
Yes, sir.
3 state runner-ups. I mean,
Yes,
this
sir.
is. I didn't know this. I'm gonna admit, I didn't know this was going on at Episcopal. And like I said, the sport is growing like weeds outside on the ground. But every time I talk to a coach, they say, "Lee, I got this powerlifter." I didn't hear that 10 years ago.
No.
Or I'm talking to the coach at Alexandria High School. Or I'm talking to the coach at St. Thomas Aquinas in Harmon. Or I never heard powerlifting. Now, strength training, and
Sure.
bench press, squat rack, dumbbells.
Mm-hmm.
What is taking this off, Coach, in Louisiana?
Mm-hmm.
What has been the key factor in your opinion?
Well, I think that if you look at a calendar, it works really well for your football players. It kind of follows right after the football season, so that's paramount. Additionally, there's not much fluff. It is squat, it is bench, it is deadlift, which those athletes are commonly doing in football training. Yeah. And our job is to get them stronger and faster and more athletic, and it really is a good complementary sport for them to do, as opposed to something else they may get injured in.
Certified strength coach now 15 years.
Yes, sir.
What made you get into this?
It was always a passion of mine. If we go back to slightly after high school, I started really making an effort into lifting weights. And the more that you're around weightlifting in gyms, the more that you see possibly not the best examples for young athletes.
Right.
So
picking it up
correct.
Form.
We all know the guy who puts every 45 on the leg press.
For people to hear it.
You're right, exactly. And then the variations of lat pull downs and things like that. So
I never liked that guy that took the deadlift and threw the weights on the ground so you would hear him do it.
Absolutely.
Come on, really?
Yes. Yeah, some of that's attention getting and
get your workout in, right?
Absolutely.
Don't hurt yourself.
Correct. Yeah. So the passion really became, drawing the parallel between, what I learned in graduate school and tying that into sports performance. I've always been around athletics. So a former athletic trainer. So I knew the sports medicine side of it.
Athletic trainers out there.
Correct. Absolutely. Very underrated profession. So as I transitioned from athletic training into strength and conditioning, most of my workouts, I kind of gear a little bit as a hybrid of those two. So I pull from my knowledge on injury prevention as well as increasing performance.
Coach, we got time in this segment. We're going to roll some videos and some pictures, and our producer Nolan's I'm going to just let him know who it is, and we're going to put it up. But you have a female, Sophia Macias, who is a golfer, powerlifter. Here's a picture, some pictures of her in her golf swing. Pretty good golfer. And
amazing
powerlifter. We got a picture of her powerlifting.
Yes. So I've trained Sophia since the start of this year, and we worked on golf-specific type things, working on her rotational power, some flexibility, and just general strengthening. She's young, even for a sophomore at 15 years old, and just an amazing, possibly generational talent in Baton Rouge.
Powerlifter, can you imagine her trying to hit the golf ball? She might hit 300 with this powerlifting. She's got the strength.
Absolutely.
Another picture. I want to show off the Graves Fieldhouse. We got 3 pictures for Nolan to put up. Beautiful facility. Coach, talk about that before we take a break.
Amazing. So Todd Graves graduated from Episcopal High School in 1990. Obviously, most people know him for owning Raising Cane's, which is unbelievable business. And he and many others made generous donations to allow us to have this facility. I've been around college and pro sports, and this kind of beats them all. It's
unbelievable.
An amazing facility.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have videos to show and more pictures. And then later in the show, we're going to talk about the football team and some of the guys you train.
Yes, sir.
And some of the other kids that you train in other sports. We'll be right back.
Grossavon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Grossavon Lodge has fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours located south of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337-598-2357. That number to call again is 337-598-2357, and have the time of your life. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
Welcome back. Libra Keen, host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. We're at DiGiulio Italian Brothers Restaurant on Perkins Road. We have Mark Harper, powerlifting coach, strength coach, does it all, runs the gym. Don't go in the gym unless you talk to him now, because you got to have a pass to get in these gyms now. But he trains everybody at Episcopal, girls and boys, at Episcopal High School. Want to get back into showing some videos and some pictures. On this picture, Nolan, we want to put up Reed Chauvin. It's a picture of his bench press, 315 pounds.
Yes.
And he's not even 200 pounds.
No.
At this time, doing it.
Correct. He competes at 165.
And benching 315.
Yes, and he can bench more than that, by the way.
This is the video. And then we have a video of Reed squatting 540 at 165 pounds.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm not an Einstein by any means, but that's mathematically crazy.
Yes, he's an impressive young man. Obviously, bought into what we're trying to accomplish, and tries to really improve his technique every time he steps into the gym. Typical kind of athlete as you would expect with this level of
only a sophomore.
Only a sophomore.
Here's a picture of him. He was outstanding lifter in Class 2A in the state. Here's a picture of him, Nolan, to put up. And here's a team picture of Episcopal, of your team. There's a lot of girls and boys from the school that are lifting. And then I want to show a picture, which is really big time. It's the records, powerlifting records for girls and boys. Coach, we're going to have that pulled up on our show right now, but what do you think of the girls and boys powerlifting? We're talking about Reed, but some other kids you want to mention?
Sure, absolutely. I took over 3 years ago as head coach, and the team was going through a transition as it lost a lot of seniors.
Okay.
It was one of those sports that, again, was gaining traction. At the larger schools, obviously, it had a lot more interest than the smaller schools. So I inherited about 8 people. I grew that to 22 my first year.
Wow. And
then this year, I was fortunate to have 51 students participate.
That's a lot in 2A.
Correct. And they all bought in and worked really, really hard. And we were fortunate, to your point about the records, we broke 26 school records this year.
26? Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible to do. I want to mention some famous alumni from Episcopal. Jimmy Williams, the late Jimmy Williams. I miss Jimmy Williams. Went to Vandy.
Yes, he did.
Was a part of the coaching staff for a long time as well. Played for the 49ers, a friend of mine, and we lost him way too young. Van Hiles, who's part of the staff, played at Kentucky.
Yes.
Was a great starter DB. Jimmy Williams was a DB. Thomas DeArmond's currently at Sanford. Another strong kid.
Great young man.
Going to be a redshirt, actually going to be a freshman again this year as a receiver. Can run, big kid. Oliver Jack's at ULL right now. He's a linebacker, a young kid, sophomore. William DeArmond played at Sanford, the older brother of Thomas DeArmond. Jason Underwood was a player at Episcopal, and LSU. He's a coach now. Kaylee Harkin, who's a reporter for ABC News. See her on TV a pretty good bit. Todd Graves, we mentioned Raising Cane's. Megan O'Leary, Olympic rower.
Unbelievable.
Doesn't get any bigger than that.
No.
Austin Sybrandt, who actually proud that I kind of helped send a message to Tulane in his recruiting. He's at Tulane.
Yeah.
6'3" now, 230. Can run.
Absolutely. Great
Probably
athlete.
was great for you in the weight room.
Absolutely.
A lot of greats. Existence. 1965 was the first year Episcopal had high school.
Yes, sir.
Which is not like Brother Martin. Brother Martin was like with the 1800s.
Sure.
It's still relatively a young school.
It is. It is. Yeah, and I think that, it's being looked at differently. I had a really nice compliment about 2 years ago from Manny's powerlifting coach.
They probably got 100 participating.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I always joke that they probably have like 6-year-olds throwing bales of hay in the back of Dad's
50-pound
truck.
dumbbells. Yeah.
Exactly. But he said there was something different about us, and that they had to keep their eye on us, which at the time,
Whoa, it's a huge compliment.
Yes, and we tied for first with Manny this year, lost in a tiebreaker, unfortunately, but they have a great program. Obviously, we want to get our program to that year in, year out.
But Mark, that's a heck of an accomplishment considering that Manny's been there for a decade or so.
Correct.
And they dress 100 on the football team. They have probably more kids, a little bit more kids involved.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. Yeah. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got one more segment, and we're going to talk about the Episcopal football players and get Mark's opinion of their strength lifts and maybe what you think of them as football players.
Absolutely.
And the weight room.
Absolutely.
Got to have a good weight room off season
to
be a good football player. We'll be right back.
What does that bug man do?
Not only do we do pest control, we do odor control, bat removal, moisture control, rodents, and of course, bed bug control. Give the bug man a call. We get them before they get you.
Grossavon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Grossavon Lodge has fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours located south of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337-598-2357. That number to call again is 337-598-2357, and have the time of your life.
Welcome back. Libra Keen, host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. I hope you're enjoying Mark Harper, the strength coach and powerlifting coach at Episcopal High School, the Knights in Baton Rouge, Class 2A school. It looks like about 80% of the boys' football team is on this powerlifting team, and most of the girls. I mean, it's amazing the track program they have at Episcopal. The baseball program that Coach Bourgeois does, and he's the football coach. People don't know that Travis Bourgeois coaches baseball and football. Every sport, cross country, track coach here is incredible.
Yes. Clay Duplessis
Unbelievable.
is a living legend. Unbelievable.
We got to get him on one day.
Absolutely.
Too. And then obviously, y'all have basketball at Episcopal, but now powerlifting's a big deal. And that's why Coach Mark Harper's with us today. Coach, I'm going to rattle off some football kids and tell me what you think. We don't have a ton, but just a little bit on each one.
Sure.
From a strength standpoint, how far they've come.
Okay.
Well, we've already talked about Reed Chauvin, who's a running back, sophomore, can run 4.5, and is going to play at 190 this year, supposedly. And tough kid, sophomore, got 2 years left. Braden George is a very gifted football player.
Absolutely. Extremely fast, instinctive, explosive.
Still filling out.
Yes.
Still has a lot of growth in the weight room.
Absolutely.
to hit.
There's room to grow for sure.
David Olen's another tough kid coming back.
He reminds me of Thomas DeArmond.
Very similar.
Which is a big compliment if you're affiliated with Episcopal Athletics. But he is a very quiet, hardworking young man.
Thomas DeArmond reminds me of Edelman from the Patriots.
Yes.
I think he's phenomenal.
Great comparison.
I still think he'd be an All-American. I still think he's going to be an All-American at Sanford. Brady Sessions, who's really done a great job.
Yeah, John Brady, I think we're just scratching the surface on what he can do. He was, from my perspective, he was a person who was squatting and deadlifting in the mid-threes. And
naturally,
3 months later, we're into the 520, 530 range of both. So we're just scratching the surface.
Still growing.
Yes, absolutely.
Sophomore.
Yes.
If he gets 6'2", look out.
Correct.
Already 6 foot, 6'1". Chase Cresson, another tough kid.
Very good baseball player and football player. His brother, David, was player. Absolutely. He got a lot out of what he was God-given.
T-O-U-G-H, huh?
Correct. Oh, my God. He's very determined. Great kid to coach.
His dad played college baseball, I think, at Spring Hill.
Did he? Okay.
David Cresson. Here's a kid you really like if he can stay healthy. I didn't know this, but you said javelin. He throws a javelin 240 feet, second in the state. Preston Harper.
Yes. Yeah,
6'5".
And growing, I believe. Yeah, Preston has run into a couple of injuries that have kind of set him back. Typically, the spring, summer, which is really kind of inhibited his strength development. Yeah. But the raw materials are there, the genetics are there. His brother throws javelin for the Naval Academy on a full scholarship, and just a great family and good athletes.
When I hear the name Pontiff, I think of Wally Pontiff from Jesuit, New Orleans.
Right.
The late Wally Pontiff.
Absolutely.
Will York, whose dad was a long snapper at LSU.
He was. Will is one of those people that I think I look at, and I've had Will since about 7th grade in middle school, and it's not really fair to compare 7th to 11th grade, but if you look at just the body composition difference, he walks differently, his strength, he is a determined young man and extremely strong.
Gets the most out of his frame.
Absolutely.
I mean, 5'9", 10, but really strong kid.
Exactly.
James Thom.
Again, on the O-line, D-line, has come a long way. Has been working in the weight room ever since football has ended. And I have high hopes for that offensive line this year.
Kicker, really good kicker, Alden Romano, who's probably pretty strong.
He is. We going back to Episcopal athletics as a snapshot. Our boys team won state. Our girls team was a state runner-up in soccer, which Alden was a member of the boys soccer team, who just an impressive young man who did not have much of a football background, of kicking background, other than soccer, but pulled it all together and really is stabilized.
Got strong in your weight room.
Absolutely.
Any other athletes you want to talk about, girls that are in your powerlifting team? We spoke on one earlier, but any other ones that you want to talk about, or any other kids that play other sports that we can recognize?
Sure, absolutely. We kind of look at the 10th grade class, which I think most coaches look at as the future of Episcopal athletics, will hinge largely on their ability to succeed. And we have a young lady who previously played volleyball, who came over and had no experience really other than lifting weights with me in season in volleyball. Jayla Purnell. Her mother is a gifted science teacher, AP science teacher at Episcopal. And not to embarrass Jayla but she is a person who her strength gains were unbelievable. I think the first invitational meet that we went to was at Catholic High. And if you compare the numbers in which she performed there versus the end of the season, there was roughly about a 350-pound total gain. And at the time, she lost over 20 pounds.
Wow.
So that's a win-win. Absolutely.
Speaking of powerlifting, for all our powerlifting fans out there, if you're a powerlifting coach, what's the key? Kids are overtraining now. Right. You're the strength coach. Right. That's probably one that you probably go, oh, yeah.
Sure.
You agree?
I do.
Outside of the school.
Yeah.
I'll say that, outside of the school.
Right, absolutely. So, just like anything, we're programming with the thought of these people, they're not going anywhere else. They're not going to their local gym afterwards and doing more. I come again from a scientific background, so I test my athletes every month to kind of see how effective my workouts are. And if we're getting stagnant or possibly getting into that area of overtraining. And if I have one or two, I have a conversation, usually candid, about that to see where they're at from that perspective. But it's amazing just the normal high school athlete compared to when I was in school.
Yeah.
You know,
The 80s, 90s.
correct. You know, linemen were heavy, you know, and not necessarily super athletic.
Yeah.
Where there now you have linemen who are
Very
very
athletic.
large people that are also very, very athletic.
What's your take as a strength coach? Some coaches are different than others.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the 80s, and everything was on the table.
Sure.
We didn't even stretch much and say, hey, go
Sure.
bench that.
Sure.
But when I was in high school, we would max, put as many weights as you can on the bench
Mm-hmm. Right.
and do it. And say, oh, I just did 300.
Right.
What's your take on all the weights, as much weight as possible, or a bunch of reps to get your max?
Well, I think it's a fine line. It depends where you are, you know, in your season. You know, Wally Stevens, who is our offensive coordinator in football, it helps me during powerlifting and runs the gym during the day. And, you know, we collaborate and ensure where that athlete is in the season.
Yeah.
We're not just wearing them out with a whole bunch of exercises.
Because, you know, it's not maybe the best thing to do anymore to put 500 pounds on the bench
Correct.
for health
Correct.
reasons.
Absolutely.
Let's say instead of maybe do 225 as many times as you can
Correct.
to get a gauge, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But you're hearing more and more of that. Wouldn't you agree that,
Yes.
hey, you don't need to like actually have 400 pounds on the bench?
Right. We're not trying to create bodybuilders.
Right,
What we're trying to do is gain, you know, tangible strength that can be applied when they play their respective sport. And the biggest thing that I look at is injury prevention. You know, healthy muscles. That, you know, they have range of motion and stability and mobility, and you know, we prevent injuries because coaches want their players on the field.
I cringe sometimes when I see these videos of somebody actually squatting 600 pounds. Like, I'm glad you can do it,
Sure.
but that's a lot of weight
It is.
in high school.
Right. And what are the reasons they're doing that? Are they doing that to put it on social media, where you have maybe not the best form, and versus, you know, the student athlete is learning how to perfect the technique. I'm a big proponent of technique, almost ad nauseum.
Right. And I know when you're 30 and you're like wanting to train for Mr. Olympia,
Sure.
I get that.
Sure.
You know, we're talking about 17, 16-year-old, 15-year-old kids.
Right.
Body's still
Right.
growing, developing.
Absolutely.
Health. You want to be healthy for those 4 or 5 years. That's what I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah, and you know, I think the typical adolescent male is, you know, wants to tell people a specific number,
Right.
As ugly as it may be,
Right.
and that's what I really try to break a habit of,
Yeah.
and just try to
Or
give,
don't share your max if you're not there yet.
Absolutely,
You don't have to share it.
absolutely. You know,
If you're only benching 150, then just don't.
it's not where you start, because
Right.
a lot of these athletes that we've kind of talked about had humble beginnings when they
Right,
started,
right.
and now they're having tremendous success because they bought in.
I want to mention Ethan Ott, too, another player we didn't mention earlier.
Absolutely. Had Ethan since middle school, multi-sport athlete, you know,
Tough kid.
explosive. I think really found a home last year at that star position, and is making good things happen.
Didn't want to leave anybody out. That was an accident, by the way,
Sure.
on the notes. But Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lee.
I
Appreciate
hope we
you.
helped some people. We promoted
Absolutely.
the school,
Sure.
showed off the weight room,
Mm-hmm.
and go get that championship this coming year.
Yes, sir.
I mean, 4 times close.
We're very close.
You're gonna get. You already have 4 in girls, so
close.
4-time state championship with the girls, 4-time runner-up on the boys, 8 times. Wow, either the winner or second. Unbelievable. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate everybody watching. Go to the subscribe button. If you hit it and you're over 40, nothing bad's going to happen. It's free. But hit the subscribe button to help us grow, and go to wherever you get your podcast. We're on Podbean. If you're a Podbean person on social media, go to Twitter or Facebook. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Libra Keen.